This child is a boy, Emma. Yeah. I'm certain of it.
Hello, welcome back to another episode. Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen's Game of Thrones endings are significantly impacted by the introduction of Aegon's dream in the House of the Dragon Season 1 premiere. The first episode of House of the Dragon looks at how her father, King Viserys I Targaryen, formally names Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen as the heir to the Iron Throne, about 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen is born. The king confides in Rhaenyra the secret of Aegon the Conqueror's prophetic dream, which is closely related to Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen's narrative in Game of Thrones, when the great houses vow fealty to her as the Princess of Dragonstone. Watch out, spoilers ahead, especially in light of the White Walkers' quick defeat and the revelation of who would sit on the Iron Throne. Game of Thrones Season 8 and the series finale have a reputation for causing great controversy. Once this battle was won, the twist that Jon Snow was actually the trueborn son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark seemed to indicate that he would end up on the Iron Throne. Jon Snow spent all 8 seasons of Game of Thrones unifying the realm against the threat of the Night King and the White Walkers. The main plot of Daenerys Targaryen, meanwhile, focused on her quest for the Iron Throne in Westeros, which she ultimately won at the conclusion of Game of Thrones Season 8. However, taking the Iron Throne involved slaughtering innocents in King's Landing, leading the Honorable Jon Snow to kill Daenerys and be exiled to the Night's Watch. In the end, none of the last Targaryens were able to sit on the Iron Throne because Bran Stark, also known as the Three-Eyed Raven, became the next king of Westeros. The Game of Thrones finales for Jon and Daenerys are still very divisive, but House of the Dragon gives their destinies a new dimension and reframes House Targaryen's place in Westeros. In addition to showing that Jon and Daenerys actually collaborated to realize the prince that was promised prophecy, Aegon's Song of Ice and Fire dream also lends credence to the ideas that Jon ought to have murdered the Night King and Daenerys was never going to rule the Iron Throne. Aegon the Conqueror's A Song of Ice and Fire dream explained. King Viserys I Targaryen reveals that before conquering Westeros, Aegon I Targaryen had a prophetic dream that foresaw the end of mankind. As a terrible cold winter came out of the north, the darkness would threaten the existence of the living. In order for the living to win the battle, a Targaryen king or queen would need to sit on the Iron Throne, with this descendant being strong enough to unite the realm against the cold and the dark. Viserys tells his heir, Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, that Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire, with ice corresponding to the White Walkers and Night King, while fire represents the Targaryens and their dragons. The Targaryens' purpose in Westeros wasn't based on pure ambition and a desire for power, but a necessity in order to save humanity. The prince that was promised prophecy from Game of Thrones, which Prince Rhaegar Targaryen has been fixated on in the novels, also fits with the dream. The lineage of Aegon the Conqueror, and more especially that of Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, would produce the prince that was promised, also known as the Targaryen, who would save humanity from the cold and dead. Aegon's dream foretold the arrival of Daenerys and Jon Snow, a Targaryen queen and king who would effectively unite the living against the dead. Of course, the connection to Game of Thrones makes this clear. Although the meaning of this prophecy was never made clear in the Game of Thrones TV show, George R.R. Martin has hinted at it ever since 2018. Uncertainty surrounds the effects this will have on Martin's next volumes in the A Song of Ice and Fire series, but the dream has already altered the significance of Jon and Daenerys' deaths to the broader plot. The Game of Thrones twist that made Jon a Targaryen always mattered in terms of his destiny in putting an end to the White Walker danger, while Daenerys' conclusion would always need her dragons, international army, and brief period on the Iron Throne. However, Jon and Dany's heritage never meant they were supposed to stay on the Iron Throne, as Aegon's dream indicates that House Targaryen ruling Westeros was no longer necessary after the White Walkers were defeated. The House of the Dragon's dream proves Jon should have killed the Night King. Given that Jon Snow appeared beside Daenerys as the prince that was promised in Aegon's dream, he was the ideal candidate to slay the Night King in Game of Thrones. The main driving force in Jon's narrative and, thus, the component of Aegon's dream that he would realize, was uniting Westeros against the White Walkers. For 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, Jon was supposed to slay the Night King, but in the end, Arya Stark stabbed the villain. It's still one of the most criticized parts of his Game of Thrones ending that Jon doesn't kill the Night King, which makes the decision to have Arya wipe off the White Walkers much worse. Aegon the Last was intended to carry out the vision that Aegon the First had of a Targaryen putting an end to the chilly and threatening danger in the north. Arya will always be remembered as the one who put an end to the White Walkers and the Night King, even if Jon may have done the majority of the work in unifying the realm to rescue the living. Since Jon's House of the Dragon ancestors, Rhaenyra and Viserys Targaryen, are also seemingly shown to be in possession of the catspaw dagger used to kill the Night King, it would have been far more poetic for him to be the one wielding the weapon as he fulfilled Aegon's dream. Aegon's dream suggests Daenerys was always going to die. Aegon's goal was achieved by Jon's Game of Thrones finale, which safeguarded the living from the dead, while Daenerys' Game of Thrones narrative brought her to the Iron Throne. Although Aegon's dream may have stated king or queen, it should have really said a Targaryen king and queen. In accordance with the prophecy, Daenerys was the Targaryen queen who brought fire from her dragons, unified Westeros and Essos against the dead, and ascended to the Iron Throne. Her Game of Thrones finale continues to promote the idea that she played an equal role in realizing the prophecy as Jon did. Until the prophecy came true and the White Walkers were vanquished, House Targaryen's aspiration for the perilous Iron Throne was required. The family of the House of the Dragon had no reason to assert their title to the Iron Throne at this time. Aegon's dream implied that a Targaryen would sit on the Iron Throne to vanquish the Night King, but it never implied that a Targaryen would go on to govern Westeros. The Targaryens didn't really need the Iron Throne because of ambition for its own sake. Thus, when Dany destroyed King's Landing at the end of Game of Thrones to restore her birthright, she was acting contrary to the prophecy that supported the family's reign. The Dragonfire of Balerion the Black Dread in Aegon's conquest was a brutal means to an end to get the Targaryens on the throne and unite the Seven Kingdoms against a common enemy, not a way to separate the regions by unjustly murdering thousands with the simple motivation of power on the Iron Throne. The Targaryen dynasty ended appropriately with Daenerys' death and Jon renunciating all titles and claims, which was in keeping with Dany's desire to unseat the ruling family. The ending of the House Targaryen familial line by Jon and Daenerys demonstrates that the Targaryens' rule was always motivated by the desire to save the common people, as shown in House of the Dragon. It stands to reason that the Targaryens would have no future after the White Walkers were killed in Game of Thrones, because Aegon never saw what the Targaryen future would hold after his dream. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.